A professional series. My Kukoyi, and I'll be the host of tonight's episode. The Passionate Professional series, an offshoot of the Passion and Result, which is a tool that shares useful information so you can maximize your passions and your purpose. So you don't enjoy only success, but also fulfillment in your personal and professional life. The Passionate Professional series is aimed at bringing you closer to professionals from literally all walks of life to get you to see that if they can do this, you can do it also. This is episode 17 of the Passionate Professional series, and we have a special guest in the studio. But just before I go ahead to introduce our guest for today, I'll just go and ask a question. Now, someone named Andy Andrews once said that all people, everyone, just coming out of a crisis, in the middle of a crisis, or we are headed towards a crisis, and they therefore say that we should to everyone. Sometimes we forget this crisis, or sometimes these experiences can have an impact on our lives. So the question is, out of these experiences and become better rather than bitter because of them. In one of our previous videos on the passion and purpose of, I shared something about this, and some of the highlights or some of the tips I can give you on becoming better from bad experiences are these four things. The first, and you feel the pain rather than repressing it. Sometimes we try to repress it and thinking that we can just lock them up somewhere, but it doesn't work that way. Second thing is you should try to look for help. Sometimes the help might be professional help, it might be in the form of a support system, your religious body, but sometimes you need to ask for help. Asking for help is not a sign, it's actually a sign of strength. Now, another thing that you can do is actually assuming personal responsibility for your situation. Sometimes we give our power away by blaming other people for what's happened. But when you take that personal responsibility, it's like you give yourself power to make a change. And finally, you should leverage on these experiences. Everything happens for a reason, and in every crisis there is opportunity. So you should leverage this on these experiences and become better for it and see what's the learning point here and how can I use it. Before I bring our guest into the studio right now, I would like to remind you that this is intended to be an interactive session. So as comments, your ideas, your questions in the comments, be sure to put them onto the feed so that myself and Aurea can actually address them. So I'm just going to go ahead now and read the bio of our guests today. Um, get resolved. I always tend to expect it or not. Okay, right. So here's the bio of our guest. Our guest today is Aurea Reis. Right. So Aurea Reis was born in Luanda in Angola and permanently moved to Portugal in 1992 when she was 11 years old due to the civil war. She relocated to the United Kingdom in 2008. She graduated with a degree in tourism business management from University College Birmingham, and she worked in that area for 6 years. Currently, she works as an employment coach at a refugee and migrant center in the West Midlands, assisting refugees and migrants through crises and disadvantages by removing barriers to their integration and enabling them to become equal citizens. She's a writer and she's a contributor to magazines, and she has authored a book titled Healing Letters, which is a personal memoir and a tool through which she has used her own living experiences to help other people overcoming their own traumas. She's also a motivational speaker and she has a TEDx speech to her name titled Children of Today Are the Adults of Tomorrow. She's a single mother of a 10-year-old boy. She loves writing, traveling, fitness, quiet time alone, and spending quality time with our close friends and our family. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome to the stage Aurea Reis. Hello, Aurea. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. Great to have you in the studio. And great to see you again after that powerful speech. I mean, if you haven't watched that speech, I think you need to go back to search for Uriah Reese on Google, and then go to videos and look for a TEDx speech, because I mean, it will definitely move you. I can tell you that. I remember when I was in that room and everyone was moved, and we're just like that moment when everyone nearly went into tears. I can't remember that moment. But good to have you in the studio again.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Good, good. So how have you been? How's your day been? How's life been?
Busy. My day has been very busy. This is the first time I'm actually sitting down today.
Wow.
And it's
Can
a
imagine that.
Sunday, but normally Sundays I don't do much. It's my resting day. You'll see me in pajamas all day if I don't have to go out. But because tomorrow is bank holiday, I'm just doing a lot of organizing and things that I don't really have time to do it. But I
Yep.
normally have one day of the week that switch my brain. If you're talking to me, I'll probably reply to you tomorrow because my brain is that it's sleeping, but because it is necessary, you have to switch off sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Rest is one of the most productive things you can do sometimes.
Most
If we just
definitely.
keep going, keep going, keep going, at some point we just burn out or break down. But yeah, thank you for
Exactly.
actually agreeing to come to speak to us on your resting day. So thank you once again.
Fine, it's fine. Thank
I
you.
have read your bio, and I'd just like you to tell us a bit more about yourself. Um, if anything interesting you'd like us to know about yourself, what does your name mean? Where's it from? Where are you from? Just a bit of introduction to yourself. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's that question that I always dread because I don't want to bore people. But
No, it's
so I
okay.
born in Angola, and I grew up in Portugal. I moved to Portugal when the civil wars started in '92. So my
Yeah,
parents sent me to Portugal to study because it wasn't safe to go to schools. I could just die in the middle of the way with a lost bullet or something like that, or be kidnapped. So my parents sent me to Portugal. So then I lived in Portugal until 2008 when the recession started, and I moved here in the peak of the recession in Portugal. I was made redundant from my work, couldn't find a decent job, and so decided to move here. And I've been living here in West Midlands since then. Lived in London for 1 month, then here. And my name, my name means gold. It comes from the old Latin aurun,
mhm,
aurum, and it translated to the Portuguese, to the current Portuguese, it means gold. It can be aurea in the feminine, or it can be auriu in the masculine, which means the same thing. What else did you ask?
yeah. No, that's cool. Except that you have anything else, any other interesting thing that you want us to know about yourself, your favorite food,
uh,
whatever it is you want to share.
Interesting things. I do. Oh, I do like to travel. I think most people like to travel. I think one of the main things that you said already was the TEDx thing. I think is one of the most exciting things that happened to me
Hmm.
last year. I have another interesting and big thing happening soon, which it's public already anyway. Translating my book to Portuguese.
Yeah,
So it's in the process. I have a publisher now. It's all agreed. Contract is signed. So I'm just revising the book at the moment because the translation sometimes is not the same, and I translated the book myself.
yeah,
So there's things that my life it's English, English, English. Work, I speak English. Come home, speak English. My boyfriend speaks English. So when he was to translate, I actually had to use Google, and I'm
yeah.
Portuguese. I
Hmm.
speak Portuguese. I actually had to use Google for certain things because I didn't remember certain words anymore, and it doesn't make sense as well when you translate. Some things don't make sense, and then I had to go back and make sense of the sentence and everything. So that's, I think, I'm you know what, I'm quite a boring person. I'm very quiet. My life is work, home, family. So I'm not much of a outgoing person. If I go out, it needs to be to do something. I just don't like to go out just for the sake of it. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
night person. And I like quietness. I love quietness. I like to be home. I love to be home. I can be home the whole week if I have things to do, or even if I don't have things to do, I'm okay. Some people get bored with that. I get very comfortable being on my own and in my corner and in where my belongs are. If I'm not doing that, the okay, work, sometimes having to go out with my son. But the other thing that I would love to do more than that is traveling. Apart from that, I don't see the point of being out all the time unless I have to.
Yeah, yeah. I think traveling is a good thing. I mean, it's actually a form of education. If everyone had the opportunity, I think we should travel more because when we travel more, obviously we explore more cultures, we get to understand people better. But yeah, that's really interesting. Thank you for
And
sharing.
it opens your mind as well. You know, it opens your
Definitely.
vision. It helps you be more empathic, more understanding, you know, because you start seeing other cultures, other way of living. You come out of your bubble. So when
Yeah.
you're talking with other people, you're not just putting your perspectives and your mindset and your way of thinking. You start saying, hold on a minute, this person comes from a different place, you know, the views are different, so you start to understand boundaries and views and agreeing and disagreeing with things respectfully. When you are just in one place and you don't really travel much and you don't deal with people from other cultures and backgrounds, that's when it can become a little bit dangerous as well, because you're
Mm,
living in a bubble and everything that is out of that bubble, everything is new to you, everything is like you don't understand. And that's where sometimes ignorance and things like racism and xenophobia, I don't know how you pronounce it, if that's the correct way, things like that can happen. It's all out
yeah.
of ignorance and a misunderstanding and not knowing what's out there.
Mm, true. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I can see some artwork in your I don't know if that's your living room, but yeah, that's is that something that you like? Do you like art as well?
Love
It
it,
looks like
yeah.
African artwork. Yeah,
That
great,
one
great.
over there came from Angola. My
Mm-hmm.
dad offered me. It's made of sands. Can you believe it? It's beautiful. And that one over there I bought on Amazon actually, but I just like, it's a woman and then the afro, it's like the African continent. I love that
Yeah.
painting. Yeah. And I have others on the back of the camera.
Would.
Yeah. It just bring me back to home. It's just, I love white. White is my favorite colors, but then I like to play with colors and I like to bring land colors like the orange, the brown.
Mhm.
I don't know. It just reminds me of my home country.
Wow. Cool. So nice to meet you. I'm sure the people that are watching live will say the same as well. So let's get into some more questions. So if I asked you, what are some of your values? What are some of the things that mean a lot to you?
Um, I value a lot of honest. I think, I value people that mean what they say.
Mhm.
Because we were just talking before we came online about
Yeah.
the online life where there's a lot of fake, there's a lot of showing off, there's a lot of pretending. I can't do with that. It's very psychological, exhausting, draining. Um, I value family, although my family is quite big, but I'm more close to very few people because I now, with so much that went through in my life, I believe that it doesn't mean that we are blood. I have to be dealing with your certain ways of people being. If it goes against my boundaries, if it goes against respecting me, I don't I don't accept anymore the sayings, oh, because it's an elderly person, because it's your mom, because it's your dad, because it's your brother, because it's his family. respect goes and come back. I'm not going to just have you in my life because you family. If you acting in a certain way, you need to go. Coming taking my peace of mind, my peace in my environment. That's very important to me. And then it's like I'm going to be 42 this year. All relationships I'm trying to maintain, I think that it's you are in my life and I am in your life because you want to. No one is obligating us to have this kind of relationship. It doesn't matter if it's romantic, it doesn't matter if it's friendship, work related, So why being in a certain way that we disrespecting each other sometimes? It's one thing that you do something to me and I don't appreciate, and I come to you and I talk to you because it happens. You might think, oh, it's okay, we're friends. But then when I tell you one time and you continue to do it, that means show that you have no respect for me. So why should we continue in this relationship where we have to be telling each other off all the time or being stressed or being upset? So I value that straightforward conversation. I love a person that is straightforward to me. I might feel some type of way in the beginning. Oh, that was a bit unnecessary. But you know what? I know that I won't have any problems with you because you tell me things as they are. You're not going to sugarcoating. And when I say sugarcoating, I'm not saying being rude and a brute and saying things, because some people think, oh, but it is the truth. Just because it's the truth doesn't mean that you have to be rude. There's ways of talking, and I normally say sometimes it's not what you say, it's the way you say it. So
Mm-hmm.
I admire a straightforward conversation, a straightforward person, trustworthy, honest. That it means whatever they're saying, they actually mean it.
Yeah.
And like I said, nothing that comes, anything that comes to disturb my peace, my environment, my peace of mind, that I really don't value, and you have to go. I don't really care who you are. I'm not having that anymore. I rather have two people, good people in my life, than having thousands, and every day is a stress about it. And then sometimes you're sick, you don't even know why you're sick, but it's all the stress that people are causing in your life.
Mm. Right. So from what you've said, I'm just taking four things down. So the things you value honesty, you value family, you value respect, and you value peace of mind. Is that correct?
And good friendships. A good friend, oh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
everything.
I'll take that. So relationships, friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Good
good.
relationship.
Good. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think those are really good. That's a good mix of a good mixture of values: honesty, family, respect, mutual respect. Like I respect you, you respect me. Good relationships and peace of mind. I love that peace of mind. Someone said that peace of mind is actually one of the highest form of wealth is having peace of mind. That's how the person put it. Like there's no point having so much money, so much of everything, and not having peace of mind. So yeah, peace of mind is something that yeah. Because
Because you
if
can't
you
think, you can't concentrate.
exactly if you don't have that peace of mind, you every other thing will
Yeah.
probably be worthless, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Can you tell us something that you are passionate about, something that you can talk about all day, something that I mean, something that if we left you, you can just, or something that wake if they woke you up now in the middle of the night, that tell us about this thing. What is it that you're really passionate about?
What I'm really passionate about, well, I think you said that already. I'm an author. I'm passionate about my book, everything that comes with it, like the motivational speaker came from that, because I always said from a young age I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to
Hmm.
write a book, and I wanted that book to be meaningful. But what I realized is that that was the door that's going to bring me what I'm really passionate about, which is inspiring people, being in front of people and talking to people and sharing my life experience. Because when I do my motivational speaking, I always say I'm not a professional. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I speak from my life experience, right? So when you're talking to people and you're there and the people in the audience, they know that the heads because they can identify with you. They feel
Hmm.
in you. Right now, they might be going through the same thing that you went in the past, and they look in you and they listening to you. And then in the end, they coming to you and saying, I was feeling so lost. And now listening to you, I know what to do. Thank you so much for that. The first time that happened, that's when I found out my passion, because so far I thought it was being a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Love writing my book. It was very therapeutical for me. But that was the door. That it was just the bridge that God gave me to go to my passion. And I just recently find out that, as I always thought it was the book. I was just, oh, I've always wanted to be an author. That's my passion. No, I would love to travel the world just doing that, just
Mm-hmm.
talking to people, just inspiring, just help them better their lives. Just, it's just amazing. You're talking to people and you see the light coming to their eyes, and
Mm-hmm.
then I identifying myself to them, because there was a time I was walking around and my eyes were dark. The light wasn't there anymore. And I'm thinking, I wish I went to things like these and someone had opened my eyes way sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see in those people having something that you wish you had had and you didn't. Oh my God, that is just like someone is out of air and you're doing mouth to mouth, like the
Yeah.
first aids, and you see them coming back to life in front of your eyes. It's a feeling. It's almost like having a child. If you never had a child, you don't know you can explain, but if you never had it, you don't know what it means, because it's a feeling that you, as much as you can explain, you don't know until you went through that. So
Mm-hmm.
I found out my passion, and just letting you know now.
Wh-
Being a
uh,
motivational speaker, definitely it's my passion.
Yeah, so it's very interesting that you say that you only recently found out, and it's not a crime to find out your passion later on,
No,
because sometimes we feel like, oh, when you're born you just need to know what your passion is. If you don't know what your passion
no.
is, you're wasting time. But some people actually say that you don't even find your passion finds you, and that's how you said it. Like, you were kind of like, you wrote a book and you thought that was what you're passionate about, but it's later on you found out that you actually passionate about inspiring people, motivating other people, and just like I said, you said you can travel the whole world and doing the same
Hmm.
thing, and that's how you know something that you're passionate about. So that's another well shared point, that
And you
if you
know,
don't know what, yeah, carry on, go for it.
sorry to cut you, but I just wanted to say that as well, so people know that sometimes you might have know your passion already, but every time you're going to do it, you get so nervous that you think, oh, it can't be, and you end up giving up. Listen, every time I have to go on a stage, I don't eat, because even today, being in front of the cameras, I get so nervous. My stomach is here all full of butterflies. I'm gonna have my lunch after this, because I couldn't really eat, because I didn't want to, like, maybe get so nervous and throw up in front of you. I know you are a doctor, but you wouldn't be able to save me from the camera, right? I get
No.
so nervous. I start ventilating. You were on my TEDx. I was ventilating before I went on that stage. But when I was on that stage, everybody was saying, you look so good. You look so presentable. You look so confident. Inside, I thought I was going to pass out in the middle of the stage, like while
Mm-hmm.
talking. That's how I feel. But then when you finish, I'm so happy that I done it. So I just want to put out there that when you find something that you like to do, even that you get nervous, even that you think you're gonna throw up every time you're going on the stage, or you're going to do whatever you have to do, deliver. I always say I will never talk in front of people. I used to hate presentations in school. And then when that started coming to me one time, I will just do it just to see how it goes. I was so nervous, but then I went on stage. It was a different person. No, even I recognize myself. When I
Mm-hmm.
come out of there and people film and then they send me the videos, I'm looking at the videos and think, wow, I really love this. But if people knew inside how I feel, I have headaches the whole day, then after every time I have a speech, after the speech happens, the whole day I have a stomach ache because of the all nervous, my nerves concentrate in my stomach. So I always have to have like painkillers after, just to, but I know that's my passion. I love it. When I'm on that stage, I'm vibrating with the feeling, with the love and everything. But internal, I go through all of that, but would that change a thing? No, I wish I could have
No.
more gigs to go and talk about it. So yeah, so just to let you know that sometimes the small things might be something to put you off, or maybe just to, for me, it's like it keeps me alive and it keeps me focused.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I was that comfortable going on stage, I think that maybe I'll sleep out in something. But because I have all those nerves, I get really concentrated in what I have to do, really focus. And sometimes you have to see the positives, turn the negatives into positives. And that's what I do all the time. But my stomach doesn't agree with me.
Well, yeah, I think we also talked about this just before we came on stage, that sometimes you just have to accept that if what you say you're passionate about, it doesn't excite you, if it sometimes doesn't scare you, then you probably need to move on to something else, and that's just what you're talking about. Like, if it's something that just feels very flat for you, if it feels very mundane, if it feels like something that oh, I've done that so many times, then there's danger there. You probably need to move on to something else. So sometimes it's actually healthy, being excited, and sometimes with a little degree of being feeling nervous as well, when you're
Yeah.
doing something that you're passionate about. I'm going to move on. And also, don't forget, if you're watching live, please just ask questions. If you have questions, we would address them along the way. I don't want it to just be a two-way conversation. I like it being a three-way conversation. So it's myself, Aurea, and yourself, the audience. So let's talk about first some of your biggest or your proudest achievements, and then we'll go on to something else. So can you tell us some of your biggest, or maybe one of your biggest or your proudest moments or your proudest achievements?
I have a few. I'll try to
Mm-hmm.
be quick. So the first one was when my book was published.
Yeah.
I was so scared because it is a memoir. It's about me. There's things about my family. So I wanted the book to come out. Then a week before or 2 weeks before, I didn't want the book to come out anymore. I got so nervous. I was, oh, people are gonna judge me. They're gonna think, oh, why is she saying that? My family's gonna hate me. And then I spoke with my publisher, and she brought me back to my why. Because when you're doing something, you need to have a why. Why are you doing that? So when things starting to fail, you go back to your why. Are you doing this just for money? Are you doing this for fame? If it's for something meaningful, for me it was to inspire and help other people. So that why is valid. Doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you're not stepping into people and hurting people. And then the book came out. One of the people that read the book, they were on my DMs, and she came. The girl, she finished reading the book around 5 a.m. and she texted me. She sent me a voice note actually saying, "This is my number. If you can, please, I would like to talk to you because this is your story, but it's my story too. And I
Oh,
would like to talk to you." And I could see that she was crying. And I called the number. Normally you have to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning. That day I was actually off. So I called the number. We spoke from 6 until 8 a.m. when she had to do the school run and me as well. And it was just beautiful. And in that moment, I felt if no one else buy the book, this is the moment. This is why I wrote this book. Then it was TEDx. Also, my mom lives in Portugal, so for me it was very important when I signed the copy. She doesn't understand English, but I always wanted to give the first copy to her. But she said, "No, don't send it by post. I want you to give me my hand." So I went to my dad passed away, and I had to go to Portugal last January. And then I would finally had the moment to give her my signed copy, and I could see that she was so emotional, and for me that was a proud moment as well. And then was TEDx. TEDx, oh my gosh, TEDx was something. I enrolled myself in TEDx out of a joke I saw on Instagram. Someone put the idea. My social media manager, in the beginning I had a social media manager for 6 months, and she put the idea in my head, and I was thinking, TEDx, isn't that like for business people, all these big people? I'm just Aurea Reis. Who am I to go on TEDx? But then we stopped working together. She went to open her own business. And one day I just saw on Instagram like TEDx Wolverhampton. I was like, oh, I'll take the date. So I put the date on my calendar when you should send your application. Then
yeah.
the date came on my phone. 7 in the morning, I was in bed. I just reply all the questions that they ask on the form when you have to apply. And I sent it, and I didn't think much of it. Then when I received the email, I think a month after or something, saying that I was one of the selected people. I was like, oh, nice. Then I started telling some close friends because they didn't want us to put on social media straight away. Because
Yeah.
TEDx is not a joke. TEDx is it's like the way it's structured, the things that you have to comply. Like it is, you don't want to be messing around while you're in the process because you can be disqualified, you know. And so I start telling people until like some people start saying to me, Aurea, do you realize what you're doing? And I said, yeah, do you realize what's TEDx? Yes. Are you sure? Because you're too relaxed. And I was like, no, I'm happy. But then we went to the first meeting, I started having imposter syndrome. I started saying to myself, what am I doing here? There was a psychologist there. There was people there that does like motivational speaking for I don't know how long, professionals. And I'm like looking around and thinking, what am I doing here? I felt like a little fish. I felt like Nemo swimming in the middle of the sharks. I was like, girl, what you doing here? So I almost like on the day, like the reversals, it was like we have to reversal for I don't know how long. Every the first time we had to reversal in front of other people or all of the other speakers, I forgot. I thought I had the whole speech in my head, but I forgot it. I started like staggering. Then I had to read the speech. I almost gave up. I almost said to Claire, which is the organizer, I said to her, I almost called her to say I had COVID, so I didn't have to go. But then I knew I was just going to then not be able to look myself in the mirror after that. So I
Mm.
went with my nerves, like I said, but
Yep.
I was ventilating before the stage. I forgot her name, but she was helping me, giving me water because I was actually like almost on my knees because my legs started to fail me. I was so nervous. And then they called my name and I just woke. I thought I was going to fall with the heels and everything because I could feel my legs shaking. And now with this deal, publishing my book in Portuguese because it's something that, of course, as a Portuguese speaker, I wanted to do it. And I wish when I published the book, it could have gone straight to Portuguese as well. But it is,
Mm.
I'm a self-publisher author, so it's not a traditional house. When it's traditional, they normally publish in other language in other countries. So I have to do that myself. I had to search, I had to translate my book. It's big things to do it, but it is very proud moment for me. It's going to be even more proud when the book is actually out in Portuguese with my name actually spelled correctly, because my name in Portuguese has an accent in the A, and it's spelled, it's when you read the name is Aurea Reis. So I'm actually looking forward to all of that. So a few things, but I know I'm going to feel even more proud when I have the
Mhm.
book in Portuguese with the name in Portuguese and having a book launch in Portuguese. And because this publisher has contract in Brazil as well, I'm already dreaming in my vision board going book launch in Brazil as well. So fingers crossed it's going to happen. So yes, lots of
Definitely.
things. Yeah, lots of things.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so I think those are really big achievements. You talked about how you wrote your book, you were on the TEDx stage, and I shared the picture of your TEDx talk, and you kind of
Thank you.
like, yeah, it was really a good speech, and it looked like you were meant for that stage. Wearing that red dress with TEDx background, so that was a good speech. And now you're translating your book to Portuguese as well, which is another major achievement. Someone once said that if we shared all our successes, we impress other people. But sometimes when we share some of our challenging moments or our difficult moments, that's when we actually get to encourage people. And you did that brilliantly with your book, Healing Letters, which we'll talk about in a bit. But is there any challenging or difficult time in your life that you want to share with us and how you came out from it? Probably a summary of it because we're still going to talk about your book, Healing Letters.
Oh, challenge, difficult
Any
time.
challenging or difficult time in your life, how did you
Mm-hmm.
handle it?
Yes, so I do talk in my book because my book is not just one thing. There's different chapters.
Yeah.
I talk about child sexual abuse and neglecting as well, emotional neglect, neglecting emotionally as a child, experience of narcissistic relationships, unhealthy family cycles, co-parenting, parenting as well, postpartum depression, and there's so many things that I speak about in the book. But for me, is always the main one that for me is always very important, because most of those things are in the past now. But the main thing for me is the parenting part, because if you are a parent, you know, it's a 24/7 job, and trying not to fall back in the cycles, family cycles that you had with your parents growing up. And sometimes you do catch yourself doing certain things that you said, oh, I'll never do that to my children. And you have to always have that mindset of, and be vulnerable enough. We were talking about vulnerability, of admitting that you're wrong and you need to learn as well. And it's a continuous job. I speak in the book that I didn't bond with my son straight away when he born. I think I was with postpartum depression, and so I had to go through a lot of work, through therapy, through all cycles of my life. You know, uh, growing with that and not talking with anyone, going through all my traumas, not talking with people. Then when you become a parent, or when it comes to a time in your life where these things starting catching up with you, because you're just keeping inside. And coming from African culture, we don't really do therapy. I like to see that to the young generation are doing more about it, are speaking more about it. But then when you want to have difficult conversations with your parents, it's difficult because they grow up in a different time of their lives. And even that they see that the time change is difficult for them, because they think when we want to talk to them, we want to talk from a place of judgment, and so they don't open up, and they start getting, for example, in my case was just the aggressivity and all, and the blame, things that you don't want to go through. So for me it was the family, the having to deal with the family, with emotions, having to make them understand that there were things I wasn't willing to accept anymore. I don't care if they were family or not. This was the me now. I was working on myself, and I'd rather be alone than continue to have family members that don't want to respect me. And in the parenting part of it, you know, it's raising a child is very difficult. Is being emotional resilience, work on your emotional resilience at all times. The breathing, having to breathe sometimes when you actually feel you that's remembering the way you were brought up and thinking, what is he saying? You know, you just want to go straight on that old memories that it's in your back, you know, on your bank memory cards that you have inside of you, but then thinking that's not going to work. It's just going to put him more farther away from me. Um, but again, we're all humans, and there's times where I still commit, not crimes, but still commit things that is not, my son is not happy with me, or I'm not happy with him. I act in a way, I might shout, but way much better than the way it was with me brought it up. Yeah, but if you want to know more, you need to buy the book. But yeah,
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
said, there's a lot of different, with me talking about my book in that sense. It's always difficult because some books is about one thing and then just going to progress until the end. With
Yeah.
mine is different chapters talking about different subjects.
Hmm.
But the one that I relate the most, although I advocate, I'm an advocate for child sexual abuse, domestic violence, and you know, parenting. For those things happening in my past, and I try to advocate and inspiring people and create awareness. But the parenting thing, like I said, it's still present.
Yeah.
Those things happen in my past, and I'm trying to help other people going through that or coming out of that. But
Mm.
parenting is present, and hopefully it's going to be present for many years. I hope to die before him, you know, but only God knows. And so I'm very much advocate of therapy. That's why in my TEDx speech, I made sure that he was there, because coming from an African background, for me, that's very important. All my interviews, I always try to mention, and I always make the joke that all these therapists, they need to pay me a fee because I'm doing a lot of free publicity.
Uh,
you know, you know.
yeah.
So they need to start paying me a fee because it is important. Because I went in therapy in shame.
Mm,
It was embarrassing for me to go to therapy and talk to friends. I used to make excuses. Oh, I can't this weekend at this time because I have other things. I have coffee with friends. And just when I came out of that and I started feeling stronger and I saw the benefits that was in there, that's when I started saying, you know what, shame of what? I'm paying for my therapy. No one is coming paying my bills. And that's when I started saying, and even the first time I saw it, I said it to some friends, they look at me funny, like I was crazy, like you only crazy people go to therapy. And but why did you do that? Oh, but are you and you just say it like that? How do you want me to say, upside down? you know. So I don't know if he answers your question. Sorry.
yeah, definitely. I mean, you share that you've had some challenges in your past, and obviously you're still having to parenting is still something that you're human and you're still finding sometimes challenging, sometimes difficult, sometimes obviously still a beautiful experience. But you mentioned on you touched on the role that therapy had in coming through those challenging experiences, and it's something I touched on at the start that we sometimes need to seek help when we are in challenging situations. So sometimes people think that looking for help is a sign of weakness. Well, just like you shared, it's not a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of strength, because it's only people that are really strong will know that I need to ask for help now, and asking for help is a sign of strength. So thank you for sharing that with us. So let's now go to the book, Healing Letters then. So I've got a copy of the book myself, right here, Healing Letters, and I've read it. I like the front page, and I think when I saw something on LinkedIn about where you got the front page, it was more like a lady that was writing letters and had tears streaming down her eyes. Is that correct?
It
So,
is.
so tell us where did you come about? How did you come about the title, Healing Letters? And I think you've written that it's your own journey of emotional freedom and liberation of the soul. So just tell us a bit more about Healing Letters, in the next
Yes.
few minutes.
So healing, because healing is a journey, is not something I went to therapy all of a sudden I'm cured. Oh no, it is healing, it not healed, because there's still many parts of me that still needs to be healed. And even the things that I talk in the book, sometimes, although it is not a heavy weight on me like before, because now I can talk openly without getting upset about it, and certain things don't trigger me as much as before, but I still feel triggered sometimes about things. So that's healing letters, because those letters, first of all, I started doing that when I was in therapy. It was a suggestion from my therapist to write the things that was inside of me that hurted me, putting on the paper, not to send the letters to the people, because it wouldn't make any difference. And if they reply back, it will probably make me more upset or make me feel unvalidated all over again. And so I started writing them, and those letters helped me finding my voice, something that I didn't had. I had an attitude, when people, I don't like to say that, and people say, oh, black women have an attitude, but I used to hear that a lot, and I used to be proud of that. That's how bad it was, because it made me feel stronger and a strong black woman, but it was just a lot of anger here, that instead of me saying, explain my emotions as they were, I was getting them through attitudes. The whole, you don't talk to me like that, who do you think, no one talks to me like, it wasn't working for me. Sometimes people were saying something actually to help me, but I was getting in a different way of listening. They were saying something, but I was listening something different, the judgment, the blame, you know. And so the letters helped me heal myself. I put in the papers all the emotions that I had, all the things that happened, how I felt, and what I wanted to do after that, that I didn't want to carry that heavy bag anymore. So in each chapter, it's basically the format. This is what happened. this is how I felt and you made me feel, and this is how I want to progress. So it's about love, forgiveness, it's emotional resilience, liberation of the soul. It's all in all chapters, it's about that. Like I said, I still feel triggered sometimes about things, but it doesn't wait on me anymore because now I can talk openly about it. And so when I decided to do the book, that was the obvious name, Healing Letters. But believe it or not, and I said that in other interviews, I always wanted to write a book from a young age. But when I was doing all these letters in therapy, I wasn't being profound about it. I was being very superficial. So one day I had a dream and I had my book in my hands. It didn't have a cover. The cover was something I thought about after. But the name was there. The chapters, the main chapters, not the subtitles, was there. And I knew that the material I already had from therapy, I just had to extend it because the way it was written before, it wasn't for a book. So I had to put in the format of a book, extended that. And so it was a dream from before, a dream, something that I dreamed that I wanted to be a writer, and then a dream that I had currently with the material that I was already doing it. And that's what happened. Um, yeah, that's how it came about. And then the cover, I just thought it just made perfect sense. And actually the cover was supposed, the lady was supposed to have tears, but then I thought no, it didn't look good. I didn't like it. But if you see one of my posters, it shows the
Yeah.
drawing. But then I thought like, oh, it looks very depressing. I don't want that. So I took the tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
there was
agree
a
with you.
lot of tears. There was a lot of tears
Yeah.
writing because, like I said, it is a memoir. It's about my life. It's about my traumas growing up and even as an adult woman. And it was very difficult to write it. It's not, I think, just advising anyone else out there that wants to write memoirs. It's not an easy thing, but it's very liberating. So if it's something that you want to do it, do it. But be prepared for that because you
Mm.
have to go deep in your traumas. I start to remember things that I forgot about it through therapy and the writing. So you need to be ready for that. But it's only it's normal process. And when you come out of that end, you're going to feel a lighter person. I assure you of that if you do it in the right way.
Mm. Well, I have read the book, I must say, and I found it personally touching. And what I admire the most is your. I think people are putting it as your honest. You were very honest. You were very raw. Why I would call it vulnerability because these are some things that people want to hide and hide somewhere, but you actually brought it all out. I mean, things like your near suicide or your attempted suicide experience. I mean, your sexual abuse experience, narcissistic relationships, like you said, and I feel like I mean I think it's really courageous for you to be that vulnerable in putting all of that. And just like you said, you could have hidden it somewhere, but just like you said, someone rang you at 5 a.m. or texted you at 5 a.m. that this is my story, and I think that makes all the difference in the world. Like even if it doesn't help everyone, if it helps one person and it changes one person's life, I think it was definitely worth it. So definitely check out Healing Letters if you haven't read it already. Just go onto Amazon and look for the book Healing Letters. It's just about £13 or £14, but it's definitely worth your time reading. Thank you for that. I'm going to now move on and ask you now because we're almost at the end of our time. It's
I
funny how
know.
time flies.
It went so
But
quick.
yeah, but um, now I want to move on from after writing the book. Now you work as an employment coach in a refugee and migrant center,
That's it.
and a lot of the people that come there will be people that, um, because of just their situation, they probably they've gone through or they are currently going through some of the things that you have gone through. So how have you been able to use that experience when you meet with these people? How have you been able to use it to actually make a positive impact in their lives?
It's just amazing because I can actually use, like I said, like he's in motivational speaking. In this situation, I can use my living experience to advise them because sometimes they come to you and the hope is gone. They have no hope in their eyes. They empty. They just have nothing else to give. But then they have the job center tells them that they have to go to jobs. They have to do this. They have to do that. They are in a new country, sometimes they have language barriers. And so then having someone in front of them, they're talking to them. And sometimes when they come to you, they went to so many services already, and they feel judged and blamed, like treated sometimes as a low citizen, that when they come to someone, then they talking to them, and you show empathy, you actually start taking more from them, in terms of they open up more because they feel they being listened. When you're talking with someone and you feel that the person is actually listening to you, to listen and not to judge, they more willing to do the work that you asking them to do. And sometimes just to tell them, listen, you don't have to be explained all your life. I completely understand you. I've been there, done that, been that person. But you see me sitting here now, that can be you in a couple of years. Just, keep working, keep doing, let's work together, try to do the exercises that I'm telling you to do. Whatever problems you have, come and talk to me. I will help you where I can, but you need to be honest with me. You need to tell me exactly what's going on. If you're having problems at home, tell me. I can action safeguarding. I can try to help you within the other departments, because as organization, I'm an employment coach, but there's other things that we do there as well. But you need to, it's a two-ways conversation. You need to tell me, you need to trust me, and I need to trust you. And you see, after a couple of weeks, you see the person, you don't even recognize them, because they have that boost. They know they have someone that actually believe what they're saying. They know they have someone that they can rely, even not being a family member, because they say something and you understand them. They saying something and you go back in your memory bank and you say, oh my gosh, I remember so well when that happened to me. And you share your experience, and it's like, really? Because sometimes they feel like people are being unfair to them, and you said, no, it's the way things work here. It happened to me. And they feel, oh, okay. So they start putting their guards down. And when a person puts their guards down, if you are a person that truly wants to help, you can go in and you start giving them a little bit of hope, one hope here, one hope there. They all of the sudden they start putting that together, and then they just start blooming like a rose in spring.
Mm,
And you see that transformation in front of your eyes, my friend. Let me tell you something, it's beautiful.
mm, mm. Wow, I can imagine that. I mean, yeah, I mean, being able to just offer someone hope and see that transformation, just like you said, is something that would stay with you forever. I remember a story that someone shared like that on how he just donated a gift to a center that was filled with disabled children, and the child just held his hand and said, "I just was just looking into his eyes," and he said, "Why are you looking into my eyes? I mean, it's a normal thing." It was like, "I just want to remember your face so that."
Yes.
When I get to heaven, I'll be able
Uh-huh.
to remember you. And he said that stuck with him for life. So things like that
Yeah.
are things that would, I mean, they're sometimes worth more than money. We just do not know. Sometimes we chase after things like money, but experiences like that are what um, chasing after.
Yeah,
In
I
your
had a
book,
client this week telling me, because he just managed to get a job, and he was saying, Aurea, when I get rich, I'm gonna buy you a big house and give you money. You do, and I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. I'm glad to help. I said, no, you deserve it. I never forget
oh,
you.
oh, wow, that's really cool. Um, I'm just going to ask you one more question, and then one from the audience I've noted.
Mhm.
So in your book, at the end of most chapters, you put something like after saying your experience and things at the end, you just say, "I forgive you." So I just wanted to ask you, like, how then do you forgive someone that has wronged you? Because for many people, it's something that um, we are still holding on to. And we know that forgiveness is liberating, but how can you bring yourself to forgive someone that has done something really bad to you? How do you do that?
Well, this comes as a cliche because most people probably already heard in other places, but it's not for them, it's for you. It's like having a bag with full of stones, and when you start
Mm,
forgiving people, you just let them go. For example, people saying, how can you do that with someone that sexual abused you as a child? And it's like, I don't hate the person, because before I used to hate, and that person used to live in my memory. And that person, yeah, I felt like, now looking back, I felt like that person was still owning me. They're still hunting me down, and I felt like I shared a secret with them. And by talking about it and forgiving was a way of just saying, you don't live in my head anymore. I don't
Mm,
say that when I don't see subjects about it that I don't get triggered. I do, but I just don't. I don't go get all shaking up and stressed and upset, and it's for you. It's not for them. Definitely, it makes you feel lighter that you just letting go of the past. Who wants that? Like it's like. You holding all of that they live in their life happily, and you are the one there taking the poison. No, I
mhm,
want to
mhm.
live a few more years and travel the world. I don't want to die with stress and anxiety. No,
Yeah.
who needs
Yeah, and
that?
it goes with your value of peace of mind, just like you said. And yeah, I totally agree with you. Forgiving people actually is more for you as a person because it helps to liberate you. I remember the story I once said of Nelson Mandela. Obviously, we know he was in prison in Robben Island for like 26 years, and then
Mm,
later he became the president of South Africa. And when he was having his inauguration as the president of South Africa, I think I heard that he invited all the prison guards that used to torment him then, and he gave them the front row seats, and he was treating them with so much respect, and people were like, how would you do that? He said he had to do that for himself because if he did not do that, he will still be in prison. And just that's just kind of the thing that you're trying to share with us as well. Like forgiveness
yeah.
is actually liberating, and we all need to learn to forgive and move on. It's been a very, very, very beautiful discussion. Thank you, Aurea,
Thank you for
um,
having me.
for
Could
for
talk to
coming
you all
around
day.
and sharing your experience with us. So definitely check out the book Healing Letters on Amazon. And it's also interesting that your son has also written a book, Feelings and How I Deal with
Yes.
Them. So it's something that runs in the family. The very quick
Yes.
question I'm going to ask is from Pamela Ains, and she said, "How easy was it to translate your
Hi,
book to
Pam.
Portuguese?"
How easy was to translate your book to Portuguese? It wasn't easy. Like I said, I actually used Google because some of the Portuguese words I fell in me. And just to be quicker, because I was on a timeline, the publishers, they were chasing me because they wanted to do they wanted the manuscript very quickly. So I spent like a week, if not, I thought I could do it in 4 days, but I couldn't. So I had to use a week, use the Google Translator, and then go chapter page by page, make sense of the sentence. So yes, I advise people that want to do the same. You can do it. It's actually very easy to do it. And Google, thank God to Google, translates.
Wow. Yeah, I think artificial intelligence is going to. I mean, in the future, I was just thinking about it. That a lot of people have jobs as interpreters, but with the way like artificial intelligence is developing, so people will not be able to work as interpreters anymore because all you have to do is just put the phone and it just does the translation and things like
It's
that.
not the same quality though. It's not the same
Mm,
quality. That's why I had to go then page by page and translate everything, because some of the things that even I was like, what does it mean? I had to go to the book in English and remember what I wrote because it didn't make any sense at all. But it helped me in terms of speed. It helped me because if I had to write all over again, it'll take me probably 4 months again. I don't know. And because I'm struggling with a bit of Portuguese at the moment as well, because all I do is speak English, so it was definitely helpful. I'm not gonna say it wasn't, but to translate, I wouldn't advise because my boyfriend tried to use it with my mom, and my mom sometimes was like, "Huh."
oh yeah, obviously it's not. There's still that. I think no matter how artificial intelligence develops, there's still that place for human connection. I totally agree with you. Oh wow! So it's just 1 minute to the end of our time, but thank you so much,
Thank you for
Aurea,
having
for
me.
honoring our invitation, and for everyone that either watches this live or plays the live stream. Remember to check out our book, Healing Letters, and I
Can
think
I just
I
say,
came
if
up.
people,
Yeah, go for it.
sorry, Cindy, if can I just say, if people want signed copies, please go to my website www.authorofhealingletters.com. Contact me, and I'll send you a signed copy. Otherwise, Amazon, but Amazon wouldn't send you a signed copy.
Thank you, Aurea. So I just came across this. I mean, I'd heard it before, but it just when I was reading your book, it kind of came back to my mind again. And I think that this quote is a very, very good way to end today's session. It's a quote by C.S. Lewis, and it says that you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and you can change the ending. It's a really
Love
beautiful
it.
quote, and it's something that Aurea has demonstrated with our life. We can't go back and erase everything that's happened in our past, but we can start from where we are and we can make a brand new and a beautiful ending. So thank you everyone that has joined us today. As I always say at the end of the show, make sure that you keep living with passion and purpose, and I'll see you later. Bye everyone.
Later. Thank you. Bye.